This special city council meeting workshop is called to order. Any public comments? Anybody?
We haven't signed up.
Thank you, Cheryl.
Sorry. Item number 2, discussion regarding utility rates.
We would like to bring John Wolf to the table with us to kind of discuss what you see proposed in your packet. Some of y'all have in front of you, I pulled your it should have been sitting right here, your water bills, except for those that pay into rural water. So you can kind of talk about to your constituents about usage and what you use. Typically, in the average house, one person uses 1,000 gallons per month. Those of y'all that have gorgeous lawns and wash clothes 4 times a day, et cetera, of course, are going to have a higher consumption. So average is about 1,000 gallons per month per person. And
when it rains, I use my rock outside.
there you go. So John, take us away.
You bet. Kind of a synopsis. And I think it's included in the memorandum that Serena's provided to you, that in looking at the actual insufficiency of revenues, as you have not adjusted rates for operations since 2006, that it was our chore to look at in order to get you the revenues that are necessary if you had increased rates over the last 5 to 6 years to address operational increases. We in looking at trying to generate those dollars, looked at various methods of adjusting existing water rates to accomplish raising the shortfall, which we determined was about $600,000 over the last 6 years. That we looked at. Certainly our guidance was to try not to place too of an onerous burden on your smaller use customers, those customers that potentially may be on fixed incomes, but understanding that there would need to be adjustments customer-wide, whether they're commercial, residential, small users, large users. And so after numerous iterations of looking at adjustments, we came up with what's included in your packet tonight. There's an actual color chart, knowing that you have different types of customers, including Langston University, that based on input from the rate and fee committee, based on input from staff, we came up with the proposal that you have in front of you, which involved, at least the initial adjustment would involve the following changes. And I can certainly go through that page, but be glad to answer any questions that you have. But we felt this was the best way to distribute the actual adjustments citywide, and I don't really have a whole lot more to add. I'd be glad to answer any questions that anyone has.
I may talk about what's a little bit different than what you may have done in the past, is that we did have the resolution go out to 2017, and what that will do, the rate increase that we really have been concentrating on was to get to that 600,000. This is only for debt payment. This is not still addressing operations. So in other words, as our operation costs increase with chemicals, with labor, with workers' comp, with insurance, with all of those items, we're not addressing it yet. So the way that we did it till 2017 was did a 5% increase, so that you're voting today for the next 4 years. In other words, that 5% will start to address our operations next year. We have not made water rate increases, and I know I might be beating a dead horse with y'all, so I know y'all have heard this before. We have not addressed operational increases in 10 years, over 10 years at this point. This merely addresses debt payment on the water plant. And so the 5% for the next year is to start addressing operations. We felt that if we tried to put that into the first year, it'd be quite burdensome on our individuals, so we thought we could go through the first year and then the residents see just a 5% increase which is typical, and cities do a 5% to address operations. And when we say 5%, also, it's not for the whole bill. It's 5% on that one on the water line. It's not on CMOM, user fee, what else do I have in there? Water treatment plant. So when I say 5%, it's just one line item. So it's not your $60 bill at 5%, it's that one volumetric increase. So I don't want to confuse people when we say 5%, it's not the whole thing. So on average, we used a 5,000 gallon user, which I have to admit, at my household, we don't use 5,000 gallons in a month. I will have an increase of $6.97 if I was a 5,000 gallon user. So that's, we sometimes compare it to, it's a number one at McDonald's. It's actually less than a number one at Brahms, but anyways, I could go on and give examples. But you know what was interesting, the Rate and Fee Advisory Committee was really talking about how much bottled water cost for 12 ounces. You know, is $1.19.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
Aquafina, whatever, name all those, and you're actually getting 1,000 gallons. You know, for $1. Or basically it's $1 something. So it's, when you really kind of start looking at it in perspective of how many times we see bottled water, it's mere.
I want to go into the bottled water business.
There are cities that bottle their own water and sell it.
Really?
I wonder if we shouldn't do that.
We have great tasting water, and I absolutely believe that. I mean, great tasting water. We should trick people.
We need to taste test
Start doing
with
that.
some people.
I'm drinking it right now.
So that's where this is gonna come up on the, okay.
It will, so we can discuss again, and it'll be under GPWA. I know that y'all have gone over rates many, many times, and I do feel the Rate and Fee Advisory Committee was very supportive, extremely supportive. They understand the impact. There's a lot of great business minds in that group, and they completely understand that if we have a debt to pay and a covenant that says we need to pay it.
And I was sitting there, and they brought up a lot of good points. They were the ones that brought everything to the table, and that was refreshing and surprising and impressive all at the same time, watching these citizens understand what needs to be done. So basically this is what they've recommended to kind of give us a level playing field, to not hurt the citizens quite so much when we have to go through and do this and play catch up for a little bit. Are there any questions that you can think of? Anybody got anything right now that is sticking out there that you want to bring up or talk about? Or
Were we, just real quick on the Langston water, didn't we have a standardized rate increase?
Somewhat. It's per year, and that contract will be negotiated again in April, May, right around there, so they can set their budget. In your resolution won't have a Langston dollar amount.
Right.
We placed it on this because we had to know that number because of the impact of how many customers we have.
Right, but we bring that to them.
We bring that to them.
Right.
This is with a certain percentage of a proposal, but we could ask for more or less, and we'll take that to them in April.
Okay.
They typically anticipate a 5% increase. That's been a normal. With this,
Yeah, but we
This will
increased it
need
more than
more.
that last time because we didn't increase it for a couple of years.
and that's what we're proposing this year.
Okay.
yeah, and the initial proposal was higher, and then when the citizens got in there and they were talking about it on the committee, they were concerned we need to bring it down a little bit. So this is the percentage that we're
To
looking
bring
at.
Langston's down?
We calculated from a 10%, 15, 20, 25%, and a 30% increase on Langston's, and played with all of those numbers. We anticipate asking for around a 15 to 20% increase and seeing what their threshold is.
Okay, no, that's fine. I just, but that's not a 5% increase.
No, it's
That's
not.
Yeah, they did a little bit higher, but they didn't want it so high that they'd, go looking somewhere else.
No, I understand, yeah, but that's not a 5% increase, that's a 15% increase. Not that, I'm just saying that's, I mean, as we deal with that contract in the future, we can comment on that, so. All right. I appreciate those folks working hard on it.
They gave us many scenarios to look at. This was definitely one of many.
Perfect.
Probably the only other thing I will add is, the basis for all of this is what you're assuming the consumption levels
Right.
are gonna be the same, and we just finished your most current fiscal year. So we defer this analysis so we could get a full, your last 12 months in. And so, we believe that last year was an average year for consumption. You didn't have an extremely hot summer.
Yeah, it was light.
So we feel that this would probably be representative going forward. And from that aspect, be conservative, hopefully.
And I'll have Wanda talk about the effective date. I think one of the major questions we'll run into. And so the change will be seen on what we call the January bill, but it's whenever you receive it around February 1. So what we want to do is market this. We are putting it in newsletters, Facebook, Twitter, smokestacks, but every way that we can to educate the public on that. So we didn't want to make it effective tomorrow. So that will be effective for the end of January, bill for February.
I was gonna see all you people start squirming. No, my water rate's gone up anyway.
I do have a copy of your
Because you
water
might
rates as
I have
well.
a choice.
I just couldn't get the consumption part on yours.
All right.
It's on.
I guess that's it on number 2.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, appreciate it. Item number 3, discussion regarding agenda items. Anybody wanted to talk about anything on the agenda that?
That's a small one. Typically November for us is
I guess it's a real small one.
November's a kind of a,
Crescent.
the Crescent one came from a request. We do believe in regional efforts with surrounding cities, and there's pieces that we could use as well.
And as things get more and more expensive, labor's more expensive, equipment's more expensive, cities, everybody has something unique. And so these little towns have a piece of equipment we don't have. So rather than us buy it, we borrow it from them, but we have something they don't have. So if we go into this and we work together, it helps everybody out a little bit. And we have to understand that, as long as it's handled properly, taken care of properly, if it breaks down, we fix it. Whoever's responsible for it, fix it. As long as they're not abusing it. Now, if they get out there in the drag racing, the jet
dump truck.
with something else, and they tear it up, then they're gonna fix it. I mean, that's just common sense, and that's what we need to get to. So with the city of Crescent, with the county commissioners, we're starting to work a little bit more, sharing a little bit more. They cut all the trees out there on Sooner, cleared that off. You can actually see the road. Sometimes I wish they'd left the trees out there. Now we gotta pave that thing. So it's working out real good, I think, on that kind of stuff. So, any other questions on agenda items? Number 4, request for future items of discussion.
I have one. On our water rates, are we gonna come back and look at our sewer rate?
We hadn't at this time. One thing that we want to talk to our rate and fee advisory committee about that honestly we just ran out of time in that meeting was impact fees.
Right.
And we plan to bring them back in about 2 months. We said at the first of the year is come back and talk about commercial and residential potential impact fees. Some places call it an excise tax. Norman calls it an excise tax. The T word doesn't go over real well, but that's basically what it is if a company moves in and has a negative impact on our sewer system,
Right.
water system, impact fees. So I can put in there, take a look at wastewater.
I've been arguing for us to look at impact fees for years, so we need to.
And we've drawn up what our proposal is on that, and we'll pitch it to rate and fee. There was kind of reason to not do it right here at this time, but
Well,
look
no, I
at it 2
understand.
months.
But I think, if we get 3 to 6 months down the road, we need to
Yeah.
readdress our sewer.
And wastewater, we
with
can look
our-
at
With
that.
our impact, because we have a pending issue
And there-
with a water treatment, or with a sewer.
We do.
sewer-
And there's also a conversation about drainage fees, and
Yeah.
I've been through it with a community that went through drainage fees, and it's very hard for people to grasp their mind around that, but we have multiple locations in the city that do have drainage issues, not caused by the city of Guthrie. I truly believe that. Everyone, not caused by the city, but it could be developer issues. It could be not proper grading, sloping, etc. There are cities that put in a drainage fee to address those things. I mean, the drainage issues that we see, guys, when we go out and cost them, you're talking $500,000 for what you think wouldn't be. And it's very expensive to address drainage. So we may be putting in or use impact fees to address drainage. I mean, you know, there's a few ways to skin that cat. There are cities that in their impact fees, they have basically like parks and, you know, your more of your social services within a city. They'll do impact fees that go directly to parks, so that if your family moves in, you have an impact on how many slides we buy, or, you know, et cetera. So we're gonna play with some of those real soon. And I apologize, economic development was supposed to go today. Today we want to take time to thank our volunteers, and so we need to get through water rates. So economic development will come first meeting in December to chit chat. Let's do something about that train horn. I love that train horn.
As long as you don't start growing hair now, you're all right.
All right, thank you.
Anybody else? All right, item number 5, we are adjourned. Thank you.
Let's go thank our volunteers.